all in the post-truth apocalypse. I'm Ben, and this week I'm hanging out with Claire,
Hey.
Pete,
Hello.
and Mike.
Hello. Mixed it up again.
I just went around the room that time. This week we bring you the Yorkshire Ripper Part 2. Dum dum dum. Part 2, wearing a V-neck sweater as sex underwear.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
That's what he did. We did mention it at the end of the last episode, I'm sure we did, but...
It's been a couple of weeks since we recorded
It has, yeah. I'm just going to open the show by saying, yes, he utilised a V-neck sweater, put it on the arms on his legs, sewed knee pads over where the knees were, and had his dick swinging
Had
between...
a raping vest.
He had a raping Mormon underwear.
See, I was kind of enjoying the thought of that. I was thinking that's quite a good idea actually. Until
Well,
you
crossed
called
his
it a rape vest. Or...
I thought he was actually wearing just a V-neck top and some like underwear.
No, he's got the arms over his
underwear.
legs.
Shit.
So he's got his dick out.
Wow.
He's got knee pads sewn into the arms where his knees would be, so he can kneel over his victim and masturbate.
He really went into this, didn't he? Full throttle, like.
Well, I mean, as a man dedicated to his work.
Yeah.
But that is that fact though would not have been known unless the copper who said you need to undress so we can search you took that underwear from him, wanted to put in the report, was told not to, took them home as a true crime souvenir, and then this is true, and then released that he used to wear this modified V-neck sweater as Lucky Mormon underwear.
Is it possible that guy's lying? And it is his
No,
thing?
I think it's been proved that
the original
these are his.
have been found.
Yeah. Well, the original, I think he might have admitted to it, or it's.
Why wouldn't they include it in the report?
They didn't want to embarrass him a bit more.
Can you believe it? Didn't want to embarrass the guy.
A bit more
Why?
sort of.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we'll crack on with
It was very much a man's world back then, wasn't it?
Sure.
We'll crack on with the conclusion of this. What's obviously he's been caught. We're up to. We'll just track back a little bit, and then his life in prison. But first, let's thank some new and returning listeners. Washington, West Lafayette, Panama Beach City, Portland and Ashburn in the US. How do I say the UK one? Cumbran.
Cumbran.
It's Welsh.
It's Welsh, you got too many fucking vowels. Dreilike and Frankfurt am Main in Germany, Cincinnati in the US, Birmingham and Pontypool in the UK. Pontypool.
Two Welsh.
Isn't that where Farming Sam lived?
I think it was around that area, wasn't it?
It was something like that. Boardman in the US, Brussels in Belgium, Chicago and Elgin in the US, Falkenstein in Germany, Arlington Heights in the US, and Guadalajara, Spain, top. Swears a Swiss listener gone?
Well, you probably insulted them.
I did.
Well, you did insult them and they've probably not come back.
Well, you know what? Snowflakes. So we're up to where he gets caught. He's murdered, 13 women at this point? Tried to kill more. Yorkshire's most wanted man.
In his rape vest, is he caught?
He was caught in his rape vest, yes.
Oh dear.
Well, he was about to do one, probably.
He was about to kill the woman.
He got stopped by traffic police, wasn't it?
Yep, literally, but you can see he's killed 30 women, tried to kill more, may have killed more. Because the police at this time were focused on, it's not a Ripper murder unless it's a hammer and a knife. And then there was the tape.
And how long has it been going on?
Oh, man.
Years.
5 years.
And I think I said last time, I'm not sure if I did or not, if you think about how many he did kill, he killed a lot of prostitutes who, ladies of the night, some of them may not have had any kind of family or any kind of ties, that they could have disappeared without anybody missing them. So he might have killed and buried many more. You don't know, do you?
Well, no, because if they had no family and the other prostitutes are their only friends,
who's going to report them missing?
Well,
if the prostitutes don't,
that's it. Because if they go to
the body, you mean?
Yeah, and if the sex worker goes to the police and they say, well, you're a sex worker, why should we believe you?
Which is exactly how they kind of felt as well. They didn't really respect the word of a sex worker, did they?
No, were you on the streets last night? Okay, well, you were.
Right. We're morally reprehensible, I suppose, is the word. They thought it was their own moral failings.
Fallen women
Yeah.
would have been the saying at the time, wouldn't it?
In a way, it's a shame because, let's face it, it is the oldest trade in the world. Let's face it.
It is. It is literally it's older than farming. It's older than being a soldier.
You'd imagine cavemen, to an extent, might have even had prostitution. Some cave bitch that wanted to...
Give us 3 shells, I'll play with it for a bit.
Yeah.
They used to just club them over the head.
Well, yeah.
They could have done that. Claire, you just gave me a look of like, you misogynist bastard. You're all misogynist bastards.
Well, the cap fits.
Is it a leather cap?
There's only 2 reasons to wear a leather cap, Mike. You know what they are.
I do.
1, you're a homosexual. 2, you're a Nazi. Which one are you?
Well, he's definitely not a Nazi.
Oh, actually, there's 3. Dutch trucker.
Yeah, he's probably homosexual.
Right,
He's
yeah.
a Dutch trucker.
Yeah. You might be right.
Hello, I'm just driving my truck. Would you like to come and join me for a smoke?
We had a Dutch silo driver to work with a leather hat on. I was like, oh, maybe there's 3.
Some lead balloon, that is. Remember that?
Yeah, that was
good.
good. That was funny.
What
That
It was the star, and I forget his name. Jack D.
Yeah, it was.
Jack D joke, that is.
Left balloon. God, that goes back a few years.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I need to throw out an RIP.
Ah, indeed, yeah.
Yeah, Howard Hughes of the Unexplained podcast. One of my favourite broadcast journalists on the Unexplained. About anything Unexplained. Without the Unexplained podcast, there wouldn't be a Cutting to the Bull in the post-truth apocalypse.
Oh, what did he die of?
I don't know, you already said it was a short illness, but RIP, one of the best broadcast
Yeah, he's a
journalists
legend,
on podcasts.
R.I.P.
Very much lived up to his hero Art Bell in many ways.
He was like the British Art Bell, wasn't
He
he?
was, yeah, basically. He would actually listen to the people telling their stories and only interject when it got a bit too ridiculous.
He was on talk radio for years, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. He did the news for donkeys. He reported from 9/11, I believe it or not. So, yes. Let's back... so, obviously, RIP to you, Howard. So, let's go back to Peter Sutcliffe. January 2nd, 1981. 2 police officers approached Sutcliffe, who was in a parked car in an area where prostitutes and their customers were commonly spotted. The police then decided to do a check, which revealed that the car had false plate numbers. They arrested Sutcliffe only for this minor offence, but when they found out that his appearance matched descriptions of the Yorkshire Ripper, they questioned him about the case. Now, let's just go back to the way that they filed and the collected and filed this information. They're interviewing thousands of people. It's more than like something ridiculous like 3 million man hours or something. I didn't say it in the first episode. Ridiculous amount of man hours. Being led down the wrong paths constantly by the guy in charge who thinks it's a Geordie because of a tape and a letter he received. A person from Newcastle, a Geordie. And they have been chasing down every lead they can, but the problem is all of their stuff is stored in file indexes, card indexes, drawers, cards. There's a ridiculous amount of cards. There's so many cards, they've had to reinforce the floor.
Why?
Nowadays, all this would go on a database, they'd press Control and P, and it'd pop up that Peter Sutcliffe had been interviewed and seen, and match the descriptions, and there wouldn't be a problem.
Yep.
Sadly, in 1980s Britain and 1970s Britain, this isn't an issue. So all this information is spread out, and no one has put it together. But you've also got the guy in charge, who's not only drunk on cough medicine and booze, has decided that this bloke is a Geordie, and if he's not, you've got the wrong person, and it doesn't matter how well he fits a description. So they arrested Sutcliffe for this minor offence, and then they found out his appearance matched descriptions of the Yorkshire Ripper. Soon they found out he'd been wearing his V-neck sweater under his trousers with the sleeves pulled over his legs, and the V leaving his genitals exposed.
How did they find that out? Oh.
Imagine finding that out, like, what the fuck? This dude's made his own sex underwear. He's ruined the V-neck sweater for every Yorkshireman ever.
Yeah.
Claire?
How did they notice so?
They had to strip search him.
Oh. I suppose,
So,
yeah.
does it say about how they actually found out he was the killer? Like, because in the documentary series, he went and hid the hammer and that, didn't he? Went for a piss whilst the arresting officers.
That's what
had
happened.
him.
So the two coppers went, "What are you doing here, sunshine?"
He's with a female in the
He's
car.
with a female in the car. He's like, "All right, you're going to arrest me. Let me go and have a piss." And he dropped the hammer and the knife. But a copper, hearing it fall onto the ground. And it wasn't until they were like, "Oh, we've
The
pulled
next
in this
day
bloke
or
for
so,
prostitution." So
He
obviously,
didn't have his hammer and things, so it couldn't have been him.
yeah.
And he's like, oh.
Hang on, you did go for a piss.
Yeah. Went back and checked and found the weapons.
That was the clinching factor. Let's face it. If it wasn't for that little moment of
Good luck.
that little spark, that little twinkle of light that just pinged above that officer's head and went, "Oh, hold on."
Well, they shouldn't have let him go for a piss unsupervised.
Well, that's the kind of
Yeah.
shit that wouldn't happen anymore. You could say we learned a lot of lessons from things like this.
Well, this is it. Back in 1981, you're two traffic coppers. This bloke's pulled up with a woman where you people go to frequent sex workers. And you go, "Okay, come on. It's a fair cop. Out the car. You
Dodgy
two, love.
plates.
Dodgy plates. You're clearly doing something you shouldn't be. We'll take you in. Oh, can I just go for a piss? Yeah, all right, but don't go too far. Just go over there." And you'd watch him. But nowadays you wouldn't do that because you just fucking leg it. But at the same time, you're also trying to cooperate a little bit, aren't you? But he's been interviewed 9 times. Think of the God complex on this man at this point.
Just think he's untouchable.
Oh, I'll get out of this. Yeah, I was just giving her a lift and we parked up.
Yeah.
And she ain't going to say nothing.
Or when he's been detained, he's like, "Yeah, fair cop, you got me. Book me and I'll go. I can go home."
And it wasn't until they did the pictures, found its way up to the shit squad. I shit you not. Special Homicide Investigations Team.
Yeah.
That's what these people were called. These coppers were called.
How apt.
The shit squad. After 2 days of interrogation, Sutcliffe confessed that he was the Yorkshire Ripper and spent the next day describing his many crimes in detail. He stood trial for 13 counts of murder. He pled not guilty to murder, but guilty to manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility, claiming that he had been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and that he was a tool of, quote, God's will, who heard voices that ordered him to kill prostitutes.
Now, do we believe him, or is he just trying to use that?
They did psychiatric tests on him and said, no, he's not insane, so he's full of shit.
It was invented by the defence. Basically, it was to get off. What, because that's what defence lawyers do, isn't it?
Dirty lawyer. Oh, God. Defence lawyers, man. Imagine being
How can
one
you
of them.
literally stand there and defend a person who's killed 13 women and say, and in some pretty horrific ways, say, "You know what, Pete? Not a problem, mate. We'll get you in the mental hospital instead. You do 10 years, you'll come out."
Someone's got to do it.
I know, but fucking why?
How low morally...
He's confessed.
Yeah, I just don't get it, I don't.
I mean,
It's the
people...
right, isn't it? He's got a right to
To
defend
be
Defend,
himself.
defended,
yeah.
People were, when he was brought into the courts, there was a huge crowd of people just shouting, "Hang the bastard." And I firmly believe he should have been hung.
Yeah, they should have brought it back just for that one day.
I was going to say capital punishment was abolished
Before this.
well before
Yeah.
this.
I think he should have been hung personally.
69 or 68, something like that one.
As-
Isn't it?
As weird as it sounds, I am for a death penalty in
Oh,
situations
when
like
it's,
this.
when it's a cold cut, shut, fucking open, closed case, there's no other. He's
unfortunately-
definitely guilty. I think yes, bring back fucking capital punishment.
In this case, yes, but there's like 4% of people that get sent to death row in America are innocent.
Yeah, but-
Innocent afterwards.
But this is a confession.
Yeah, I know, but these
This-
were confessions, and it was just mentally ill person that the police.
Well, you've got to go through some evaluation process and all that. But I
It's got to be
think,
irrefutable. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
That's what I mean. If there is
Bang
no
to rights, DNA.
100%, yeah. If it's bang to rights, 100%.
Well,
There's
even
no
DNA's
doubt.
at 100%.
Well, DNA plus.
There's evidence, isn't there? Let's face it. There's evidence and there's evidence. You know, if you're like, we've got you at the scene.
Basically, if it's like the OJ case, you know what I mean? There's loads of evidence, and it's clear fucking open shut case.
Yeah, you let the man off.
Yeah.
What about cases historically where they've been innocent, like the Birmingham 4 and all that?
The guy.
Birmingham 6.
Birmingham 6, the Guildford 4.
The guy who
Guildford
did
for.
the prison.
Yeah, but they weren't
series.
sentenced to hang.
No, but they could have been.
They could have been, but they
And they'd
weren't.
be dead, and they'd be like, "Oh shit, they're innocent."
Yeah, but the technology has progressed.
But not at this time. You're saying you still hang him.
I would have hung him. Yeah.
At
He's
that
confessed.
time,
He's
but he's confessed,
confessed.
there's
But then-
the photo fits.
But, yeah,
the,
but then-
all the evidence points
But
to
then you bring you
him.
back hanging, you're opening up a can of worms then, and then you get chances
Yeah, I
of
think
killing
just bringing it
innocent
back
people.
now would be okay.
They did it to Saddam, didn't they? They hung
Yeah.
Saddam,
They did.
Yeah, that's
Well, that's not British law, is it?
no.
luckily, but it was carried out by us essentially, wasn't it? Let's face it.
It was Iraqis, wasn't it?
Well, I know, but yeah, but who's?
Who captured him? Who deposed him?
That's what I mean. Who's the ones that
It's
kind
only
of?
going to end one way, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that's, I don't know.
Yeah,
For me, no, but
I get
I
what
can
you're saying.
understand why you'd want to, especially in this instance. Yeah.
Thing is, my take on that is, he cost, even myself and you
Yeah,
guys,
yeah,
he
yeah,
cost
yeah.
all of us money because our taxpayers' money, every bit of wage that we earn,
You're right.
goes towards paying for people like him to get 3 fucking meals a day and probably TV and access to computers and all sorts of different things.
Xboxes sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but
And-
as we'll find out later, it wasn't all.
No, but
Smooth
even
living, you know.
even within our lifetimes, our monies, indirectly or whatever, will have contributed towards that, keeping him alive because he didn't die till 2000 and what was
Something like that.
it? Something or other.
We'll
wasn't
get to it.
Yeah. Sorry, spoiler alert.
It's a difficult one.
Well, this is besides the God's will thing, and it's I was on a mission from God. Is what he told his wife Sonia Sutcliffe, who'd been married to him and never done a thing, or so she claimed,
Yeah, bollocks.
throughout the entirety of the murders. As she only learned the truth, and Sutcliffe told her himself just after his arrest. As Sutcliffe recalled, and I quote, "I personally told Sonia what happened after my arrest. I asked the police not to tell her, just to bring her and let me explain. She had no idea, not a clue. I never had any blood on me or anything. There was nothing to link me. I was taking my clothes home and taking my clothes off, doing my own washing. I was working all day long and she was working as a teacher, so I could only do it at night. She was deeply shocked when I told her. She couldn't believe it." She gave him an alibi a lot of times. Oh yeah, he was here with me. He was here with me. Where were you on the night of this, Mr. Sutcliffe? He was here with me. Or, I was here with you, wasn't I, love? Yeah, you were. I don't buy that she didn't have an inkling.
Something that serious as well. Why would you give the alibi if there was even the slightest bit of doubt there? In that if it was like fucking, I don't know, you robbed a chocolate bar out of the shop. Where were you? Oh no, it was, yeah, all right, fair, you shouldn't lie, but somebody killing fucking people and raping people, that's like the worst.
Or maybe she just couldn't believe that she'd married someone like that, and therefore.
Well,
She had her own issues mentally as well. She
the
was
way
not.
she's been portrayed to us, she wasn't a full biscuit tin, was she?
No, I mean, she used to put plastic on the sofa and stuff, and she had her own mental issues, but still, she provided him with an alibi nonetheless.
Yeah.
Would you provide your partner with an alibi, Claire?
Not if they weren't there.
And there was that slight chance that it could be them, because obviously no, they weren't around.
No,
Oh, where
because
were they?
if they weren't there, you'd consider for a start off they were cheating at the very least.
But he's also a lorry driver.
Right.
Which was easy to then use the excuse, oh, he was out on the road for 3 days.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know where he was, or...
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't.
Well,
But for her as well, you know what I mean? He's out on the road for 3 days, he's doing his work. How would you know any different? So when the police ask you, oh yeah,
Maybe she didn't know,
he
maybe
was
she just
he was at
didn't.
work, he was out on the road.
but there were nights when he wasn't at work, and alternately in that respect, and he got it in the car, and he changed colour cars to avoid getting spotted
Yeah.
and things like that. And now, whether Sutcliffe's wife believed his mission from God's story, the jury certainly did not. Peter Sutcliffe was found guilty on all 13 counts and on 7 attempts of attempted murder and given 20 concurrent life sentences. The reign of the Yorkshire Ripper had come to an end.
When was that picture taken?
Presumably,
So a few years later, or
maybe he's put on some weight, hasn't he?
yeah.
95, it says there.
Ah, yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that was a few years later then. Where does it say that?
On the photo.
11th,
Oh, shit,
9th,
yeah.
95.
Yeah.
September the 11th.
So that.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So he'd been in prison for what, 10, 11, 12 years, or whatever.
It would be if it was in America, but it's
12
not.
years,
It's in Britain.
No.
It's 11th of September. Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
11th.
Oh, there's something significant about that. Oh, it was him behind the bombing, behind the fucking two towers.
You look a bit like Bin Laden, if you...
Oh my god!
What if all the bad guys in the world have only ever been Bin Laden?
Or they've only ever been Peter Sutcliffe.
Well, yeah, Peter Sutcliffe. So in 1984, Peter Sutcliffe was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and transferred to a psychiatric facility known as Broadmoor Hospital, even though he had been found mentally fit to stand trial.
Well, it could have deteriorated at that time.
Well,
maybe.
a couple of 3 years worth
Yeah.
of probably mainly solitude.
Yeah.
Because he'd have been in solitary confinement most of that time, guaranteed.
So 10 years later, his wife divorced him, and he faced several attacks from fellow inmates. One such attack in 1997 left Sutcliffe blind in his left eye after another inmate had come at him with a pen. 10 years later, another inmate attacked Sutcliffe with deadly intent, saying, "You fucking raping, murdering bastard, I'll blind your fucking other one."
Yeah, I doubt you're going to be liked by anybody in anybody
Of course not.
correctional facility.
No.
Isn't that where Broadmoor? Isn't that Jimmy Savile Hospital, isn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Savile Hospital.
One of his regular haunts, wasn't
Frequents.
Yeah. Sutcliffe survived the attack, and 2 years later he was found fit to leave Broadmoor and was transferred to a non-psychiatric prison in 2016. The Yorkshire Ripper died at the age of 74 of COVID-19 while imprisoned at Her Majesty's Franklin prison in County Durham in November 2020.
A few years ago then, isn't it?
Yeah. When he was still alive, Sutcliffe made an appeal for parole, but was swiftly rejected. In the words of the High Court Justice who presided over the appeal, to quote, "This was a campaign of murder which terrorised the population of a large part of Yorkshire for several years. Apart from a terrorist outrage, it is difficult to conceive of circumstances in which one man could account for so many victims."
it? Yep, it was horrific, wasn't it?
Hang him.
I could have put that in a lot less words.
So he got a cold in prison and they thought, right, COVID-19's happening in a minute, let's kill the fucker.
He'd had cancer as well, hadn't he? I'm sure he had.
Wasn't that the Wests or...
I'm sure he'd had cancer.
Have you done the Wests before?
Yeah.
You do Christmas with the
We
West.
We did Christmas of the West. I think were you on that, Claire?
No.
Christmas of the West.
I've read a book about it. Fucking vile.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. Check
Do you
it
know what?
out.
I never have. I've never watched anything about them particularly or anything. Because it's that kind of thing that I don't want to hear about. I don't want to hear about what they did to kids.
Oh no, it's horrible. This
Their own
Was it-
kids.
And young babysitters.
Yeah.
I've genuinely...
Horrible to think,
all
isn't
I know is they killed kids and young people and buried them under their patios. That's about as far as I know about them because I've never wanted to know the details. I know
It's horrible to think these people could be people that you know, that you know what I mean, people in your community.
little old Rose up the road, you know what I mean? She was a
Respected
lovely old
members of
lady.
science society.
She was a lovely woman, Rose was. On the outside, what people thought.
She was a
Turns
serial
out
rapist.
she killed children and baked them into pies.
Fuck off. Seriously. Baked them into pie.
Baked them into... No, she didn't know.
Yeah, but there was sexual abuse from him and her. Oh, horrible.
Together.
Weird.
And the incest.
And these people live amongst us.
Yeah.
Most time we never know.
You never know what's going on in someone's head. So losing his eye wasn't the only attack he had. In 1983, he was attacked by fellow inmate James Costello, leaving him with facial cuts that required a total of 30 stitches.
Quite a lot of stitches to
Yeah.
the face, isn't it?
It certainly is. Then, more than a decade later, in 1996, after being moved to Broadmoor, Sutcliffe was attacked by Paul Wilson, who attempted to strangle him with a cord from a pair of headphones. The Yorkshire Ripper then evaded attack for a decade before being attacked by another inmate in 2007. Murderer and paranoid schizophrenic Patrick Sereda, imprisoned for the 2000 strangulation of his mother, came at Sutcliffe with a metal cutlery knife. Lunging at Sutcliffe, he screamed, "You fucking raping, murdering bastard, I'll blind your other one." 4 nurses restrained Sereda, and Sutcliffe didn't require hospital treatment. Sutcliffe also suffered from schizophrenia and angina, and spent his final days suffering from diarrhoea and intense vomiting. It was an uncomfortable ending for the COVID-ridden Yorkshire Ripper, Peter Sutcliffe. He died in hospital almost in severe pain. Good.
Yeah.
I hope it fucking hurt. To be honest.
Yeah.
But it's weird how the press treated him as a fucking celebrity. You know, he'd give opinions on things in the gutter press.
Like what?
Oh, I don't know, Peter Sutcliffe speaks from prison, things like that.
Yeah, any kind of press like that was fucking ridiculous.
You know, the Sun, the News of the World, back in the day.
Yeah.
The Sport, the Star.
Like you said, they are gutter press, aren't they?
Gutter press, exactly.
Yeah, and if you aren't having many visitors, you can accept visitors from them, can't you, as well?
Yeah, the press would be probably allowed to interview him, no doubt.
Well, it was like Charles Manson, innit? He became a bit of a celebrity, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Well, they all do, to be fair,
He
don't
still
they?
had women throwing themselves at him whilst he was in prison, didn't he?
Yeah, Manson had something about him. Some
He's-
weird charm.
Yeah. You saying you kind of liked him yourself?
No, women certainly did. It was the 60s, it was the drugs, it was the
Yeah.
power, it
You
was the
still get
hippie
that, don't you?
movement.
You get women that
And you get women like that still.
write to serial
They got a bit
killers
of a
and
crazy look in their IP. It's a bit of a turn on.
Should I start walking around with a bit of a squint then?
No, not that sort of crazy.
No, just I may cut you up and eat your liver after we have sex, look in your eye.
Pete's pulling some real scary faces.
What do you mean? That's his normal face? Oh, was he pulling a face? Right. Well, so should they have hung him? Is the big question. I think they should.
Back to that.
We've discussed
I
that.
know, but I think they should have fucking got rid of
You
him.
made your point clear. I'm sure many people will agree. Many will disagree.
So
It's life.
that's the Yorkshire Ripper.
I don't think you can
He
blame.
was a sick fuck though, wasn't he?
I don't think you can.
Psychopath. Gotta be.
You
Sorry.
can't blame it on that, can you? Not when he's got a wife and kid alongside, and he's.
Don't think
living
he
in
had kids.
Didn't have kids.
No.
He's got a wife alongside, and he's playing the happy family sort of. Well, you know.
I don't think it was a conventional relationship. I mean, they were both clearly mentally ill, although I don't think that diminishes his responsibility.
I'm saying if he's got enough about him to lead a half normal life, and then the other half's like, woo, you know.
Oh, but who doesn't?
Well, then did we create these people? Are they products of the society?
Many times.
You'd
it's-
hope not, because if that was
Do
the
you get-
case, there'd be a lot more of them, wouldn't
Do you
there?
get Aboriginal serial killers? Do you get Bushman serial killers?
I think it's scene and setting.
Maybe?
Or is it our society that produces them?
Is it just not something that's slightly tapped in
Well,
the head?
First of all, you're saying there's no
I think there's
Bushman.
that as well.
You don't know there's no Bushmen
No, I don't,
because
I
we
don't.
don't know because they don't record things like we do.
No, but if you look at their communities, it's very different, isn't it?
More,
Culturally, yes. You'd
More
argue.
egalitarian, it's more caring, I'd say.
Ever since we were probably grouped into cities, there's probably been serial killers, I'd argue. Although there were serial killers before that.
There's probably serial killers in ancient Sumeria.
Probably was. There probably was. It's probably something that's been... But it's not recorded, is it?
Like you say, it's probably...
But it was a lot easier for a serial killer in ancient Sumeria to just stab somebody and move town and change his name. Yeah. Oh, my name's Bob now.
You sound like a sore thumb called Bob in ancient Sumeria.
Well, whatever. Can't think of any ancient Sumerian names off the top of my head, can you?
serial killers do go back, like, hundreds of years to our
Yeah.
historic knowledge. I can't think of any examples, but I've read examples and seen, like, documentaries and...
What, Sawney Bean?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we did the
Yeah.
podcast a couple of months back about
Yeah.
Sawney Bean. So it's been a thing. So could you say they're created by society? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it is just 1 in a million of us is tapped in the head, and
There is such a thing as a psychopath, isn't there?
I think
Normally they
something
need
switched off.
They need a trigger, either being hit in the head or abused themselves.
There's no empathy. This is the thing. It's somebody
Yeah.
that's got like absolutely no empathy whatsoever. It's like the 2 kids that killed fucking James Bulger.
Oh.
Like, you know what I mean? Them messed up little twats.
They were done again. Well, the one was done again, wasn't he, for having child pornography.
Yeah.
Claire, you're literally a social worker. Where do you stand on this? Because you're more qualified than us to talk about this.
One, it was just horrible, wasn't it?
Well, what about Yorkshire Ripper?
Well,
You're his social worker. What you do?
Hang him.
yeah, I couldn't be his defence lawyer or.
You couldn't social work him, could you?
Yeah, there's. Well, he'd just be in, he'd just be in jail. There would be no social work to be done.
Nothing
That
to
would
be
be
done.
the doctors.
Well, he
sort
applied
of-
for parole several times. What if you were assigned to his case?
And they basically just laughed at him, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they laughed at him every time. But he'd have to probably have someone attached to him. What would you do in that scenario? You're his.
Well, he's in Broadway and has psychiatric care with
Oh, yeah,
doctors and things.
Well, she's assigned as the social worker that's...
Yeah, I'd be like, it's too much of a risk for me. Everything's risk-based as a social worker.
He could never be that out, could he?
But what's your take on what we're saying? Like, what makes somebody like that? Is it just an empathy thing? Is it just is it a societal thing? Is it what would you, in your
I think
professional
when
opinion?
there's-
Defect in the brain.
Well, for a second, when you went on about the Aboriginal, there's no Aborigine sort of.
I asked the question. I didn't know.
No,
asked
but-
it, yeah.
I
So
was
something
actually
you'd ever
thinking.
heard
I was
of,
actually
is it?
thinking about that, and the societies they live in aren't as dense
No,
as
they're not,
ours.
they're not. Maybe
So-
that's what it is.
It's got me thinking about like
It's hard to become a serial killer when there's only 40
yeah,
people in your shot.
yeah, population density. If we get too dense, does it bring on too many stresses because there's too many to provide for, or it becomes everyone for himself?
Or again, is that it's a 1 in a million
He's got a
defect,
in his brain.
and obviously there's not as many people for it to possibly affect in certain societies, whereas when you've got 60, 70 million, well, probably 55,
watching
60 million people in one country.
I think it was Horizon. Do you watched that on BBC One?
Yeah, I've watched it before.
Obviously.
There was
The
one
odd
where
one.
there was a guy and he had the brain of a psychopath. So when they did all the scans and everything,
But the body of a 4-year-old girl.
A 4-year-old wheelchair-ridden
he was a
girl.
doctor and he was a normal guy and family and everything was loved. He had no problems. But he was like, why am I not a psychopath but I've got the same brain as a psychopath? And he decided that it was like a trigger, he needed some trigger in his youth or in his life.
That brain
Set it off.
injury.
Either a brain injury or abuse.
Was he abused?
No, he wasn't. That's why he was normal.
No.
Sutcliffe,
No,
no.
we don't know, do we?
Was he abused?
Maybe
Father was a bit domineering, but no different from any other sort of 1960s Yorkshire father.
A dad that's probably grown up in war and
Yeah, you know what I mean?
was
Clip
in
round the
war.
ear.
Exactly.
could he have been abused at church? Could he have been abused at the youth clubs? You don't know, do you?
If he was, it's not recorded.
He never said. Did
He never said. Nothing's.
Sometimes.
He was just a weird dude, is what it boils down to. I think with this scenario, he was
He's a
clearly
weird dude.
weird dude.
Where'd you put there was no abuse with Dharma? He wasn't abused. He had come from a
Domineering
very loving
father.
I'm
family.
only going by what this
No.
scientist
His mother
is
didn't love
suggesting,
him.
Anyway.
No, he had a weird fascination from a young age with animals and carcasses and that,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Because he'd go and find roadkill and he'd be playing with that at like 10, 11 years old with his old
Wasn't
man.
his dad,
and-
a taxidermist though?
Yeah.
So that was. You could argue that that's nurture a little bit if you see him dead shit around, because of your dad doing taxidermy. You could
Yeah, but
argue
then
that,
there's no.
it's,
You're saying that's a trigger itself, then the environment you're brought up in, which is why
yeah,
maybe.
that's why it's
Yeah,
called
yeah.
nurture.
And
mate.
is this why?
It's not
Maybe
like his
his
dad's go,
parents
let's go
were-
kill animals. you get that sort of morbid fascination.
Yeah.
So here you go, right? So I'm going to take it in a slightly different direction, but it's all on the same fucking line. You've got these heretics that will literally saw somebody's head off with a knife and film it.
Fundamentalists.
These, as we call them, terrorists. These Muslim terrorists
Well,
that
they've
we've
been
all...
brainwashed, haven't they, into believing that they're doing it for God.
But this is what I mean. So where's the... Does this take it back to somebody that just has no empathy?
Yeah, that's what a psychopath is, isn't it?
But then, does it seem there could almost be... I don't want to say it because it's just too...
A gene. Is that where you're going with that?
Well, maybe a gene, which is maybe why certain types of people are more likely to do that fucking crude, nasty, fucked up thing.
Everyone's
Psychopaths murder.
everyone's wired different, aren't they? Let's face it. Everybody's wired different, and whether that's down to nature, nurture, genetics, or what have you.
I think it's both, isn't it?
I think nurture plays a part. I think genetics play a part. Nurture, certainly. I think Mike's right. A lot of the main common thing with a lot of these serial killers is they all receive a head injury in sort of around the formative years of 12 to 14 years old.
But
That must trigger something. So with Sutcliffe is a question, as everything in terms of these people who kill lots of people, is like it's scene and setting. What did they have? What did they grow up with? What was their norm? And what's the culture? Yeah.
Yep.
Sutcliffe hasn't led no more of a normal 1960s upbringing than anyone else in Yorkshire, I'd imagine. His dad was a big guy. His brothers were taller than him. So maybe there's an element of little man syndrome.
Probably worked down the mines.
No, he never worked on the mines.
No, not him.
Oh, his family
dad,
did.
though, and that.
Yeah, but it's like, it's forced masculinity for him. Remember I said in the last episode, he'd be like, oh yeah, I go to prostitutes and I'm so good they don't want any money. They let me fuck them for free because I'm that good. It's forced masculinity, which is, I think, is his downfall.
That's pressure from society, isn't it?
But then again, also, he then as most serial killers do, they evolve if they're allowed to carry on long enough. They do different things. Did he kill 13? Did he kill more? Probably killed more.
I'd say highly likely.
I think he could be up to 20. And attempted's higher as well, because the police were so blinded that they were like, hey, well, if he didn't use a hammer or a knife, it wasn't him.
Yeah.
He admitted to one where he stamped on her chest. He leapt in the air and jumped down on her chest and killed her that way.
Fucking hell.
Right? But at the time, that wasn't classed as a Ripper killing because he hadn't ripped.
Yeah.
So how many more did he do? Certainly one of Britain's most evil men, without a doubt.
Yeah.
One of our worst serial killers. There's only Harold Shipman, I think, tops him for a body count.
What about Jack, the original Ripper? Jack the Ripper.
Only
what was
6.
his? I say what? What? 6. That was all his count
6,
was.
maybe 7.
What about Crippen?
I don't know, but
Who?
the acid.
Dr. Crippen?
Did he kill people with acid?
I can't remember now. It was
There,
yeah.
I've not heard of that one.
there was a guy in the late 40s, the acid bath murderer. We'll do an episode on him. Great series with Martin Clunes playing him. It's called A is for Apple. A is for Acid. It's called A is for Acid. Martin Clunes plays a serial killer. Really good. Really good.
That's a strange move for Martin Clunes.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're not in the UK list, you have no idea who we're talking about. But
He looks a little bit like Shrek.
well,
but
if
not
you,
green.
if you ever get a chance to watch a series called Men Behaving Badly that was done in the 90s, that was his breakthrough.
Hilarious.
Superb show. I lived that lifestyle for a while. Just living with a mate, drinking Stella all the time.
I think most lads of our kind of age at some point
Yeah.
have done a Men Behaving Badly
Yeah.
stage.
So, okay, Mike, I believe we've got some fucked up facts. I think we're all in agreement that Yorkshire Ripper was a bastard.
Crippen only killed his wife, apparently.
Ah, there we go.
Only
Only his wife.
He wasn't a serial killer, is what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say. Thought he was.
Fucked up facts.
Yes, theme tune, please.
Facts, fucked up facts, facts.
Faggity facts. Facts.
In 2010, sick of having their signs stolen, the residents of Shitterton bought a 1.5 ton block of stone had the name Shitterton carved into it.
I bet
Fair
it still
play.
got nicked.
I bet it's a very popular destination for selfies.
Yeah.
To be fair.
I want to move to Shittington.
No Shitterton.
Apparently, whale sharks have tiny teeth on their eyeballs.
Ouch.
What?
That's nightmare fuel.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
It's a good job they're completely fucking docile, isn't it? And only eat plankton.
Let's hope so. Because if not, they can eat us with their fucking eyes.
Why have they got tiny teeth on their eyeballs?
Doesn't say.
On their eyeballs?
On their eyeballs, yeah, apparently. I can't see how that's handy, it's helpful, I don't know.
Maybe they're not teeth
are
as
just ridges.
teeth. Yeah, they must just be something. They're probably made from the same stuff as teeth.
You know, all I'm going to say is life finds a way.
Blacked my head either
Teeth
way.
on your eyeballs.
Life finds a way.
I've heard of teeth in a vagina, but not
a
in an
film.
eyeball.
You were very defensive then, Claire.
That was a film.
That was film. There's never been a tooth vagina, and there never will be.
Good film. Teeth, it's called. If you've not
Yeah.
seen it, watch it. Hilarious.
From 1952 to 2017, no members of the public were allowed to carry switchblades in Michigan, except for one-armed people.
What?
One-armed people.
Yeah, were allowed switchblades up until 2017.
Makes sense.
Why are they allowed them?
They've got one arm, haven't they?
Can't fire a gun. We need to cock it. Can't cock an holster. Although you could buy a holster that cock the weapon on release.
Go Terminator style.
Well, yes, if you are
If you got
one
a knife
armed.
sheath and you got one arm,
Oh no, it was the flick,
Spin.
It was the
The
spin
blades.
fucking
Well, I mean,
handle
it's
cock,
like
wasn't
wasn't
it?
it?
was a
weapon, I know
Remington.
what you mean, I don't know why it was still allowed.
Yeah, unless you got a Remington handle cocking shotgun thing,
You can
that
still
you
buy
can
them.
spin around like
Arnie in Terminator 2.
And what? No, yes, it was Arnie that did it, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Does it one hand? He's driving a He's driving a Harley
No,
with
what's
one
her face
hand
does it as
and
well.
firing and spinning a Remington lever action shotgun
yeah,
round
yeah.
in another hand. It's fucking orgasm worthy. That's the male fantasy, isn't it?
Didn't Sarah Connor also do a shotgun one-handed in the first film?
She
When
does in
she's
the
killing him at the end.
she does in the second with a pump action.
It is the second film,
yeah.
isn't it? Yes, right, because she's pumping it and then shoot. Yeah. So you can do it with one hand.
You can, but it's not fucking driving a Harley with one hand while shooting a shotgun and spinning it around to reload and firing again. Cool, is it?
And not everyone's the Terminator
I was
or
going to say,
Sarah
he's the
Connor.
Terminator. He's got
Yeah.
his precision.
Still cool.
And she
Yeah.
was Sarah Connor.
That's also still cool, but not as cool as driving. If she was driving a Harley while out running a fucking semi truck, then that would be cool.
With a
But she
screaming
wasn't.
little girl on the bike
Yeah,
with you.
but she wasn't. So we have to give it to Arnie in this scenario.
He was like a screaming little girl though, wasn't he? If you watch it back now, you're like, I can't remember his voice being that high pitched.
Great film.
Yeah, brilliant.
Go on then, Mike.
Who do you think are more likely to have extra fingers, toes, teeth, or nipples?
People from Broseley.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
I was in Broseley about a month ago.
Was you?
Yeah.
Did you have your passport with you?
No.
Looking at their
but
extra toes.
I had more fucking I have more fingers and toes than there was fucking teeth in that pub. I can tell you that much.
Men or women, do you think more likely to have extra fingers, toes, teeth, or nipples?
I'd imagine the nipples would be women.
Men.
It is men.
Men. We're men. We're men with extra teeth.
I had to have 4 teeth removed as a teenager.
But they were crowding.
Yeah, a bit of overcrowding going on. Makes sense. And the vampirism. You know.
I'm sorry, mate. This next fact won't apply to you, but
Oh, right. Is it something to do with baldness, Mike? Is that what you're saying? Because you're a baldist? You asked why I was managing England last night.
apparently human hair contains traces of gold.
Ooh.
And babies under 3 months have more gold in their hair than anybody.
Right. Off to the fucking hospital. I'm going to start shaving all the newborn babies. What are you doing, Pete?
I'll be a millionaire.
I'm getting me gold.
This time next year, I'll be a millionaire.
There's gold in them there babies.
Oh, there's there's a religion that shaves the baby's head, isn't it? After a few days.
That must be why they caught on to this
Yeah.
whole
Buddhists, aren't they?
gold fucking.
So they make their big gold Buddha statues.
All that baby hair.
Oh, yeah, all that baby hair.
You know what? You could be onto something.
How can there be gold?
There's gold in all of us.
Yeah, yeah, that's just mad.
It's mad, isn't
We're
it?
all certain percentage of gold, aren't we?
Yep.
I'm
Not
gonna
much
start,
of it.
I'm gonna start panning myself.
That's just called wanking, Pete.
I like to call it panning.
Right in your spunk.
I know what Pete's on about. We've all been there. Every man has panned himself for gold at some point. And then
When you shit, you're shitting into it. You sift through it. Any gold nuggets?
no, I'm just wanking.
Oh, about,
I'm just wanking.
I don't know what you're doing when you pan yourself. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
dear,
wonder
Mike.
why there was that sieve next to the toilet.
I'm looking for gold in the shit. Is anyone else doing the same thing?
There's gold in that thorough shit. Oh, man. I wonder why that sieve was next to the toilet.
Must be why they call them nuggets.
I can tell you, mate, what you've got most of there is fool's gold.
Next fact.
Yeah.
Please.
That should be a punk road.
In 2017, Texas made it legal to shoot coyotes and wild pigs from hot air balloons.
Legal?
Yep.
Sounds like a fun Sunday afternoon to me.
Get a
So-
hot air
Sounds
balloon
good,
and
yeah.
shoot some coyotes
Yeah.
and wild pigs.
I wouldn't shoot the coyotes, but I'd shoot the wild pigs.
It's almost a bit like that law of apparently you're allowed to shoot somebody with a bow and arrow from a certain fucking
On a bridge
castle
in Shrewsbury, on a Sunday.
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
I think it sounds more like, you know,
it's in Wales somewhere. Not
It's in Shrewsbury.
the overrun, you know, in Australia, the overrun kangaroos. I think they've got maybe they've got a pest problem.
They do have a pest problem. It's Texas, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, they have a massive wild boar problem. But what a fun day that would be. I wouldn't shoot the coyotes, though. Too much like dogs.
no, get the pigs.
The pigs. Because I'm going to eat it after, right?
I guess you can, yeah.
I want to.
Harpoons then.
A lot of bacon.
A lot of bacon.
Get a harpoon
You know,
gun.
after we'll get it cut, yeah.
Over a ton in it.
I'll pay to get it cut into the various cuts. You know, the bacon, the belly, all
Not
that.
wild pigs like that.
We'll have a cookout. We'll invite.
Sure.
No.
Maybe not in America, but
Like normal, you kind of farmed pigs, like your typical, your specific
Maybe
kind of
African
variants and that.
boars.
Well, either way, I'm not just murdering pigs. We're gonna have a cookout. We'll get it all cut. We'll invite the whole town. We'll
Pigs.
use everything. We'll use
Boars.
everything.
Boars are actually quite a formidable fucking
are,
animal, aren't
yeah.
they? They're,
Hence why I'm in a hot air balloon.
yeah, you want to be up high. You wouldn't want to be at ground level.
No.
No.
Hence why I'm in the hot air balloon. Or a helicopter. I'd take a helicopter. Quite actually, I'd prefer the helicopter.
Would you?
Yeah, damn right.
You'd never get them though. The
No.
noise.
No, it's a
Noisy.
no. But I could have if there was a herd of them. I could have a minigun.
That's a difference
Right.
between culling
I could have.
and just taking out a
Oh
whole
man,
fucking
just
herd
just
with a minigun.
just picture. Fortunate Son is playing on the radio on the helicopter over the intercom. It's
You
good
could
take
your
down a herd.
bullets out for the barbecue. Fucking hell.
Well, the
there
butcher will
wouldn't be
sort
any
that out.
bullets in them, mate. Because
Be
with,
all,
with
like,
one of them, it
mangled
just
up.
you'd just have bacon
Looks
mince
like it's
all
gonna
over
be
the
Looks like it's
place.
going to be sausages.
Yeah, pork mince all
All
over
the
the place.
all the sausages you can eat. Claire, that's probably quite a lot for you. Oh, toxic masculinity. It's alive and well. Sorry. Claire did sort of make a gesture then to absolve me, by the way. You have to speak.
Okay.
Thank you. So it's legal.
Does anybody like vanilla?
Love it.
Vanilla ice cream.
Alright.
Whatever, vanilla flavour.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it's great.
Did you know it's from the anal gland of a beaver? That's where they get
Yes. I don't care.
Vanilla pods.
No, vanilla extract in it. It's
No, I'm not
They
into,
don't do it anymore, but used to, apparently.
not into the extract. I like the pods.
Vanilla
Ooh.
nowadays is vanilla, isn't it?
Mm.
But yeah,
Used to be
they-
from the anal glands of a beaver.
Nice.
who the fuck discovered that?
Some pervert was sucking on the anal
Oh,
gland.
yeah, like, how the fuck did you discover that anal gland
I was
juice
in
from
the
a beaver?
wilderness. I was in the wilderness for 7 weeks. I survived. The way I survived was sucking the ewe. I'd eaten the beaver. All I had left was the anus, so I sucked on it, and it tasted good.
Tastes like vanilla.
It gave me nourishment. Do it. If you're ever trapped in the wilderness, eat the beaver.
Eat an ass of a beaver.
Suck on the anal and grate the anal gland over the beaver meat.
Ah.
No.
A great beaver anal gland. Nom 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 nom.
Over
And a
the
nice
meat.
Chianti.
That's it. Go on, Mike. One more.
Okay, there used to be a colour called mummy brown.
A colour.
Yep, a shade of colour, shade of brown
Right.
paint called mummy brown.
Interesting.
I bet it's in
As
between
in,
sort of like beige.
like that kind of brown, almost like a colour of a mummy. Like a
Correct. It wasn't the exact
uh,
colour
uh,
of mummies because it was ground up mummies.
oh, wow.
Oh wow!
That is ace. I want to get some mummy paste.
Well, unfortunately, they ran out of mummies in 1964.
Right, off to the fucking pyramids.
1964.
Yeah, it was going on till then.
Jesus, I was expecting like 1912 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're just digging these mummies up, grind them up, put them in paint. What do you mean that's the ancient pharaoh of Egypt? he's decorating my fucking wallpaper.
colour's
He's
your
painting
living
my
room?
walls.
Tutankhamun.
Ramesses II.
I've not heard of that colour.
Oh, he's one of the greatest pharaohs of Egypt, and now he's adorning my walls. Fuck me.
Like it's like nice opaque brown.
You didn't even see the imprint of his buttocks.
This paint's got a lump in it. Looks like a nose.
I mean, they were grinding mummies up in 1964 to make paint.
That is so fucked, isn't it? To be fair.
I thought they were just going to mimic the colour of it.
That's what I was thinking, like a tea-stained bandage.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You know.
Well, until recently, red dye used to be crushed up beetles. I mean, it might still be for all I know, but
No.
yeah.
Blue,
Red food colouring was
Blue.
crushed up beetles.
blue as well. Blue dye
Blue
was a
too,
different. Was a kind of beetle, wasn't it? I believe.
No.
I thought it was a beetle or a crustacean.
Google that. Come on, that's not
Purple or
right.
blue.
Purple was shellfish. Back in the day.
Was it?
Yeah, the purple, like, there was a certain
Why,
shellfish
Didn't it share?
you got the dye from.
I know
No.
sepia is cutter fish ink, isn't it?
And then, yeah.
Cuttlefish.
Cuttlefish.
You know, the old photographs.
Yeah, and there's certain starfish that if you get the slime off, it makes you glow in the dark.
I wondered where you were going with that.
Bioluminescence.
Starfish.
Bioluminescence, yeah, if you... Ah, it's just crazy enough to work.
They've put that in goldfish now, haven't they?
Have they?
Bioluminescence, so they glow in the dark.
That's
I like the neons.
I'm sure I saw that on a programme, and I saw it being a complete
Oh, is it
joke.
debunked, is it?
I think it was a joke.
Might well be.
I know they've got it in them now, you can see them. But koi carp as well, innit?
With Leonard
They
and
do
Penny,
that.
what's it called?
Oh, Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory. Why couldn't I
You
think?
can't take that as a fucking scientific
No,
documentary.
wasn't it on Big Bang Theory?
No,
He had
no
a glowing,
idea. I didn't
He
think
had
it
a
was...
glowing
I've never seen
goldfish.
it,
I'm
mate.
sure it was that or something like that.
Well, either way,
I don't think it's real.
I think we'll
It
call
could
it a
be,
night
but-
there.
Who knows?
Maybe.
Who knows?
I never watched it. Can't comment on it.
What we say is we don't listen to us. We know jack shit. Fact check yourself.
Yeah, motherfucker. Fact check yourself.
Yeah. And on that note, I've been Ben. Thanks for listening. Don't do the favourite. Don't join the call.
Goodbye. Thanks for listening. Peace, seven, and force be with you.
I've been Clair, thanks for listening. Keep open mind, but not so open it spills out your ears.
Okay. Everybody have a nice week. Bye.